Listen! Welcome to the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Tremendous atmosphere here tonight. Probably the biggest crowd of the season. I reckon close to a sellout, if not a sellout. And why not? Because this is a vital game as the Kings take on the Melbourne Tigers for survival in the NBL Championship. Melbourne looking very, very good. They're on a roll, but Steve Carfino, if Sydney has a last chance, this has got to be it.
That's right. This game reminds me of last year's grand final where the Sydney Kings lost to the Melbourne Tigers in the playoffs. The atmosphere is electric. The guys look really pumped up. We're watching the Melbourne Tigers when they came out. They look extremely intense. The Sydney Kings as well. I think we're in for a big one.
Well, Sydney lost an easy one last week, or one that they thought would be easy perhaps. This week, well, it's probably about the toughest match they can get. Let's have a look at the situation in the Mitsubishi Challenge right now. Last night's results, Perth Wildcats had a big win over North Melbourne, but almost threw it away in the last couple of minutes. Brisbane Bullets got home against Townsville. Hobart had a much-needed win. The franchise in deep trouble, of course, and there is the ladder. Perth on top with 14-2. Melbourne in 5th place with 10-7, so a big win for them tonight will get them into the top 4. Adelaide just outside looking a little menacing, and Sydney, well, as we said, they have to win if they are not already gone in the Mitsubishi Challenge. Very important game tonight. Steve, can they match up with Melbourne and do it successfully?
Of course they can. The Sydney Kings are loaded with talent. It's just a matter of who actually came to play. The guys have a lot of talent, but they haven't been really putting out. Ken McClary's been a force, and he's going to match up well with Mark Bradke. And then Andrew Gaze, ooh, what a matchup.
Starting fives now, and let's have a look firstly at the Kings.
Well, for the Sydney Kings, they're starting their backcourt that they started most of the year. Greg Hubbard and Damian Keogh. Ken McClary, who's been in great form as their power forward. Dwayne McLean, he'd like a big one tonight against his mate Leonard Copeland, and Dean Utah's the center.
And look at that incredible lineup for the Tigers. Certainly the best team on paper in the league, with the exception perhaps of the Magic. Gaze, Copeland, Simmons, Sibley, and Bradke. Now the Kings bench.
For the substitutes, Mike Kenny, Tony D'Ambrosio, John Blake, Karan Morrissey off the bench.
Tigers come on pretty strong too, with Giddy, Gordon, Walter, Tenner, and Stephen Whitehead in great form. Confirmation from the Kings management, we do have a sellout crowd in Sydney for the first time this season, and why not? Two great teams on reputation. One of them has lived up to that, the other still to show their true value in the NBL Championship. Kenny Mack and Dave Simmons to kick it off.
Sorry, Billy. Both teams really started off the year in the same way. The Melbourne Tigers are at one point 1-5, and so the Sydney Kings just coming up against a team who had similar problems early in the year, and here is where the guys are just a little bit too anxious, wanting to play well, going out there maybe a little bit too physical.
As you said before the game, Steve, both teams very determined. Sydney had a very calm look about them in the warm-ups. Melbourne were pumped. Be interesting to see how both teams convert that to execution. Leonard Copeland on the ball now for the Tigers to Rob Sibley. A new boomer, 93. Copeland puts down 3 points to open the game, and Melbourne could not have asked for a better start. McLean and Sibley, that'll be a matchup and a half. McLean 17 points last week. Under a lot of pressure, people expecting him to do even better. Has a very, very high turnover count this year. 4.2 a game, the 5th highest in the league. Big block from Mark Bradke, but Keogh gets it back. Hubbard open, but the defense got there very, very quickly. He drives those straight to the bucket, draws the foul.
Nice aggressive move by Greg Hubbard on that exchange. The Sydney Kings move the basketball around well against good defense by the Melbourne Tigers. Robert Sibley making it extremely difficult for Dwayne McLean to catch the basketball. Greg Hubbard takes a nice drive to the basket, very strong. Got a lot of ball in Art Copeland. That's why he wasn't too happy with that call.
Hubbard, one of the best free throw shooters in the league. Misses the first. In fact, he's 83% from the foul line, 7th best in the league. Puts the second one down though and gets Sydney on the board. They're down by 2.
A big key in this game is to keep the basketball out of Andrew Gaze's hand. That's always extremely difficult. Every team, as long as I've been associated with this league, hasn't been able to do it.
Well, the double team worked on Bradke, but then the Kings threw it away again. Sibley fades it back out. Gaze
And this is the luxury Melbourne has. They've got great perimeter shooters, and there's Gaze coming just inside for the miss. Utah fighting for the rebound. They ruled it came off David Simmons.
And Andrew Gaze looked over towards the bench, got a look at his father and just said, nodded and said, my fault. So I don't think Lindsay was too happy with that shot, but hey, how can you fault Andrew Gaze? He hits over 50% of his shots at a 35% per game average.
P.O. Hubbard sets for three. It's down. Sydney leads by one. Good start for the Kings. They're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. In fact, the worst, with 30%. And that is 2 points for the Tigers. Sydney comes back, down by one again. Hubbard, very, very quick on offense, but decides to hold it up into the half court. In fact, while we're holding the ball up here, Sydney, in fact, have three worsts in the NBL right now. They're the worst foul shooters at 60%, well clear of the next worst team as McLean drives inside and gets two. Sydney also has the lowest average point score per game, 94. And Melbourne, significantly after getting that two, has the highest, 106.5. So McLaren, well, this is a free-scoring game right now. Sydney goes to an 8-7 lead, but I don't know, Steve, if Sydney is going to win this game by simply matching Melbourne on offense.
Well, one thing Melbourne wants to do is get the basketball out onto the open floor, but they have the luxury of taking it inside to Mark Bradkey for their half-court game. Leonard Copeland with a three.
Oh, both these teams hitting the shots early in the game. It's 10-8 to Melbourne, 9 minutes left. Utah gets inside and manages to tip in his own rebound.
Well, Bill, this game is fast and furious, but these teams, both teams, are playing just awful on the defensive end of the floor. Neither team is getting back. So many layups this early in the game is just unbelievable at this level.
I wonder who it will benefit at this stage. Sydney certainly needs to be able to settle into a game pattern. Copeland for three again. This time it's wide. Bradkey wrestles with McClary but simply cleans up the crumbs. That'll be a great contest, Bradkey and McClary. I wouldn't like to be in there. There's going to be some hot contests under the boards tonight. Sibley drives, gets the ball to Akio, but no, turnover time again. Gaze sets it for Copeland, and that's long. Sibley, great tip in, ever present.
That's a 4-point turnaround because Damian Keogh has got to be able to deliver the basketball to Greg Hubbard.
Well, Sibley and McLean clashing underneath. Now Sibley and Keogh having a verbal contest. Australian teammates.
We'll get the replay here. Dwayne McLean sees the opening for the drive, goes up, and Robert Sibley makes sure that Dwayne McLean doesn't get a chance to score that basket. Robert Sibley apologizes, but he hit him pretty good, and Dwayne McLean didn't like it.
Well, obviously,
it's good basketball, though. Andrew Gaze with the big steal.
Lays it in. Great play under pressure. Hubbard was right on top of him, but he still made the bucket. Turnovers already in this game. 3 to Sydney, 2 to Melbourne. It's intense. As you said, Steve, not great defence. But I think there's going to be a few tempers flared before the night's finished. McLean one-on-one, blocking foul called on Mark Bradkey. 14-10, the Tigers lead.
Well, the Melbourne Tigers are tough. You get an open lane to the basket. Dwayne McLean here. Mark Bradkey makes the obvious foul. But one thing you're going to do is get worn down by their style because they don't let you have anything easy.
Dwayne McLean seems to be more interested tonight, getting involved, trying to create. There he goes, driving again, and this time draws the foul from Sibley. Well,
Robert Sibley's got to get some help because Dwayne McLean just cannot be stopped one-on-one, especially when Dwayne McLean is ready to play, and he's tried to take the ball of the basket tough every single time. He needs some help.
Not a great year by his standards, but Dwayne still, by his rivals, rated the best one-on-one player in the league. Perhaps tonight he is going to take the team on as often as possible and probably foul a couple of Tigers out of this game if he keeps going the way he's going. Utah gets to McLean. Takes on Sibley again, but this time he gets the dish. Good defense, though. Bradkey was the wall, and McClary couldn't get over it. And that's a stray pass. Well, it looked to come off Damian Keogh, but there was also a Tigers player there, so Sydney gets the turnover.
Well, Bill, this game is extremely sloppy, but the reason it is because both teams are very intense, maybe a little bit nervous. The game means a lot, and these two are pretty big rivals.
Well, it's a lot like the game early in the season when we expected them to be sloppy. But similar situation, they are big rivals. And a lot of nerves too. Hubbard, but it's not there. Keogh was rifling in. McClary tough underneath, gets his own rebound, pump fakes, and it's not down yet. Bradkey swats it. Utah cleans up for McLean. Oh boy, 100% play here. Hubbard goes inside, and it's, well, McClary actually tipped that one out, but he was trying to make sure of it. And Sydney still leads, is down, I should say, by 4 points. Well, action aplenty. There's the percentages. Sydney 40%, and that won't help Melbourne's percentage, but Bradkey's pretty tough underneath and draws the foul against Utah. Whoa, we can take a breath.
Dean Utah gets a foul on that one. The Sydney Kings drop back into a 1-2-2 zone on that exchange, trying to give the Melbourne Tigers a bit of a different look. But what happens is when you go into a zone, it's extremely difficult to rebound out of it because you don't have a man to block out. And here's where the Melbourne Tigers get that second shot, Mark Bradkey, and he's been shooting the basketball from the free throw line a lot better in recent games.
Bob Turner and Bernie Slattery, the coach and assistant for the Kings, were having a deep discussion there, and a quick word with Dwayne McLean as they sweep the court. Bob's conjuring something here. Damien Keogh walks to the bench.
Damien Keogh's got took a good shot to the mouth on that, to the nose on that one. His nose is bleeding, so of course you can't have a player bleeding out on the floor, so Tim Morrissey is the substitute for Damien, and whenever Tim Morrissey comes into the lineup, the complexion of the basketball game always seems to change. He seems to lift the intensity on both sides.
Tim Morrissey's on the Nard. Copeland gave him a hell of a time when Melbourne played here in that semi-final series. Bradkey just gets the first 1-and-1. That one just climbed over the rim. And makes the second. Mark Bradkey obviously would have benefited from being a guest on Basketball Extra today. 16-10 Melbourne leads.
That always counts for a few extra points in the game. As the night goes on, we should see Mark Bradkey, a big influence. Ken McClary.
Oh, Bradkey was on top of him. But this time, Big Mac draws the foul. Bradkey disbelief on that base.
Well, that one, here we go. Ken McClary gets the good interior feed, and he goes up, and Dave Simmons gets him across the arm. This is going to be one heck of a matchup on both sides of the floor. Ken McClary, who's been in great form, when he plays tough down low, there's not many people that can stop him.
That's Dave Simmons' second foul. Speaking of Dave Simmons and guests on shows, Dave will actually be with us tomorrow on Sunday Basketball. Live in the studio as Kenny McClary puts it down to narrow the gap to 4 points. 6.5 minutes left.
Good sign and a good start for Kenny McClary, dropping both free throws, because anytime he gets near the basket, you can better believe there's going to be a foul that's going to be laid out.
Simmons. Oh, low post, hard stuff. Gets over the top for a 6-point lead to Melbourne. Dwayne McLean again with Sibley marking. Morrissey. And almost the turnover. Rob Sibley diving in there. He's had some great games recently. Hubbard shoots short. And Morrissey inside. Mel Cooper calls the timeout. A hectic start. We'll take a break with the Tigers 18 leading the Kings 14. Welcome back to the Kingdom. Packed house. There is Sydney newsreader Ron Wilson with Wilson Jr.
He looks just like him.
There he is, clapping for the Kings. All the Wilsons look like Ron. He's got a few boys, and they are the spitting image of him.
200 flights a day worldwide.
I'm afraid the Woods boys look like their mother, though. That's probably a good thing, mind you.
So you beat me to the punch. That's definitely a good sign.
Anyway, back to the action. They're just back on court. And the Kings huddle breaks up. What a start. Dwayne's fired up, no question about that. Mark Bradkey's fired up. Andrew Gaze, well, he's always good. Doesn't have to get fired up.
I don't think I've ever seen Andrew Gaze play a bad game.
That's a good point. Rob Sibley. Morrissey goes down in back play. Melbourne's back with the ball. Morrissey's asking the ref, did you see that? I didn't.
It's one thing that really, a lot of people try and stop Andrew Gaze in a lot of different ways, but muscling him and bumping him doesn't seem to help much.
Bradkey inside, off the glass, intentional or not, it gives Melbourne another 6-point lead. And Hubbard fires the ball to Utah. Well, Bradke's called for a holding foul this time.
Well, the refs are extremely busy as that one goes to Mark Bradke because there's a lot of bumping. And another thing is, watch how aggressive Dean Utah is. When he sees that little gap right there, he starts to go for it. Mark Bradke had a little bit of the basketball.
I was going to say, it looked, that was close. Utah makes it. As I said earlier, Sydney the worst foul shooters in the NBL, but what's significant about that, Steve, is that they're shooting 60%. The next worst is 70%. So they're not just the worst, they are a long way on the bottom. But anyway, Dean Utah narrows the gap to 4 points, and we've got 5.5 minutes in this quarter as Gaze takes it up for Simmons. Those foul shots, that's a lot of points out the window. Turnover time. Hubbard drives up court. They're looking for a fast break, the Kings, but Melbourne very quick back on D. McClary off the glass, no score, but again gets his own rebound and makes it 2. And that is the deficit. 2 points at the Kingdome.
Well, true rebounder believes that every shot is going to miss. That's why he goes after those second shots so tough, even after he's missed one.
Lindsay Gaze warming up Warwick Giddy to come in, join the battle underneath. Copeland shoots short. Utah high for the rebound, but just couldn't control it. Nevertheless, Sydney ball. Hubbard. This time they slow it down. Inside 5 minutes, McLean is free. Jumper for 3, and it's wide. Grace comes back, 37% for the Kings. Oh, the alley-oop comes off! Again.
Once again, Leonard Copeland getting behind the Sydney Kings zone. Both teams in the zone at the moment. Melbourne having a little bit of trouble matching up with the Sydney Kings at times, especially when they bring Tim Morrissey in there and he's tough in the middle. They go to that zone. Nice pass, Tim Morrissey to Dean Utah.
Substitution, Giddy comes on, as we said. Melbourne leads 22-20. Let's have a look at that play. Well, this is the signature play of these two.
Andrew Gaze not giving it away by telegraphing that pass, throws it up to Leonard Copeland. Boy, they've got great timing on that play.
That is a long, long pass. Giddy on the perimeter. Now Bradke gets a little closer, banks it, but a big swat from McClary gets Hubbard away. Fakes this pull-up jump shot, and now it's McLean to Morrissey. Utah on the baseline, and the traveller's call. So, turnover again. Sydney, if they can get their non-shooters going tonight, then they can take advantage of the double teaming on McLean and McClary.
Well, Melbourne's in a 2-1-2 zone, and the Sydney Kings have got to get the basketball to the high post, or at least to the inside before they jack up an outside shot.
Gaze pirouettes around Morrissey and finds McLean. The key was just too packed. McClary goes almost for the dunk, but he just managed to get it down anyway and ties the game. 3.5 minutes in this quarter. And Bradke, oh! McClary went up to block the dunk. No. And Bradke draws the foul.
Ken McClary says, no, not in my house. Mark Bradke comes up. He's got dunk on his mind. Ken McClary right up there, goes up there and swats it out, foul across the body. That's good D.
Big block from McClary. When you consider Mark had the momentum, he's coming in hard, and Kenny Mack had to improvise, get underneath him and make the jump from a standing position. This is going to be one hell of a game if they keep it up like that. Bradke on the line.
The Sydney Kings are 5 wins and 10 losses, and I think that these people that have come here for a sellout crowd weren't kidding themselves when they knew they were going to come for a good basketball game. That's why there's a sellout on this game.
Melbourne leads by 1. Hubbard for McLean. And the matchup with Giddy this time. McLean finesses the ball. All net. Sydney by 1. Gaze comes back. But already we've got a high-scoring contest. Copeland for 3, and it's good. Leonard Copeland has busted out of the barrier with 11 points this quarter.
Well, that play started with Andrew Gaze finding his way in the open court. He's so dangerous from so far out. forced the D to rotate, and they've got so many weapons out there. Leonard Copeland finished that one with a 3.
Hubbard on gaze now. Keogh. Perimeter passing from Sydney. They open up the inside with McClary. And the game is tied again at 26 points.
You just can't stop him in the low post. They tried to get some help and double down, but he shot it before the help got there. Warwick Giddey, he's one into Mark Bradkey. Textbook basketball.
Warwick Giddey a little stunned for a second. He was almost lonely out there. Got Bradkey. Keogh fakes out the 2 leaping defenders. Blocking foul call. So Sydney goes to the line to try and cut down the 2-point lead.
Damian Keogh gives one fake, then gives another. Then somebody's got to be open now because 2 defenders have just almost gone out of bounds on those fakes. Goes right to Ken McClary. He makes the drive to the basket. Robert Sibley gets the foul. That's his 2nd.
It's a sign Sydney causing Melbourne some problems on D because Melbourne has 7 fouls to Sydney's 3. Sibley, 2 of them. Gets a rest.
The fouls are on key players too. Robert Sibley, he plays a big role for the Melbourne Tigers because he plays the good defense. That's why they've brought in Stephen Whitehead, and this is why the Melbourne Tigers are such a good ball club. They replaced Robert Sibley with the best 6-man in NBL.
Giddey takes down the board after the missed 2nd free throw. Now, just over 2 minutes left in this quarter. Stephen Whitehead had a marvellous game against Hobart. Steal, but regain. And Keogh this time gets in. Oh, what a pass! Oh, wow! That was a millimetre away from a play of the week.
That is a great play by Damian Keogh. Look at this one. Got the steal. Knows Dwayne McClain's there. Gave it to him the only way he could behind the back. Dwayne McClain just wasn't able to finish that dunk.
Thanks to Stephen Whitehead. Here it is again. McClain takes the behind the back. And McClain, such great height, but Steve Whitehead is going to make him earn it.
Just enough to make Dwayne McClain miss that dunk, and the house would have come down if he made that one because that was great D, great hustle, great thinking by Damian Keogh. Gets the ball to Dwayne McClain, but he gets 2 anyway, so the same result.
Sydney by 1, inside 2 minutes. Oh, I hope it stays like this. Double teaming Whitehead doesn't do. Copeland shoots short, but Bradkey with the board. Double teamed, draws the foul. And the basket counts. Potential 3-point play with Melbourne down by 1. Tim Morrissey, Keogh discussing it to Sydney veterans.
Mark Bradkey just had too much height for Tim Morrissey on that one. And this is the difference between the play where Dwayne McClain was fouled by Robert Sibley. It was a hard foul, but it was a good foul because he didn't allow Dwayne McClain to score. Mark Bradkey was able to score on this one.
There's that foul count I told you about. A little lopsided at the moment, which is a good sign for the Kings. Dean Utah replacing Morrissey to perhaps give them a better match on Bradkey, who makes the 3rd point, and Melbourne now goes to a 2-point lead inside 2 minutes. In a dynamic first quarter. Keogh.
Well, I don't think there was much doubt about that one because Dean Utah, watch him step to the left here. Watch, he steps to the left and then gives Mark Bradkey the shoulder. And you have to have your feet set. That was a very good call.
Timeout call. Dean Utah goes to the bench. 31-29 the score. Top scorer for the Kings, as usual, Kenny McClary with 11. Leonard Copeland has 11 for the Tigers, but Bradkey, big inside, has made 12 points.
You could win an autographed basketball from the Kings at every home game. Meanwhile, who wants to play with CJ's ball? We can't hear you, Sydney. Who wants to play with CJ's ball? Remember, when playing with the Morocco ball, please face the court and pass the ball behind you.
Defensively competent.
The benches break. Counting down to the end of this first quarter. Bob Turner and the Kings. We said it last week, but they are walking on the edge of the cliff.
Well, the Sydney Kings are going back into a man-to-man. They're trying to switch the defenses up. on the Melbourne Tigers. Now they're in man-to-man on a free throw or a dead ball. They're going to go into a zone, maybe zone pressure, full court pressure, back into their half-court zone. But now they're in man-to-man.
Gaze. They lead by 2. Bradkey outside for a change. Whitehead to Copeland looking for the opportunities. So Sydney have shut down the outside reasonably well. And that is touched in, but it'll go down as a 2-pointer.
13 points.
4-point lead to Melbourne.
They gave that one to Mark Bradkey. I'm not sure if that wouldn't have gone in anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but anyway. Hubbard sets for 3. He's got all the time in the world and misses. Bradkey cleans it up. And will he send Melbourne to the break with a handy lead? Sydney has not played the ends of their quarters very well this year. Bradkey, jumper inside. Big rebound from McLean. Runs into Gaze and runs out of friends. He has to pick it up and start again. Kent dribbling though, which was crucial. Hubbard, Keogh. The 1-2 gives Hubbard another 3-point chance, which doesn't go down. Andrew Gaze. From the 3-point range, Sydney 1 for 6 tonight. Hubbard with the arm across Andrew Gaze has fouled him.
I think Greg needs to sit down for a little while. He's missed a couple shots, and just as I say that, Tim Morrissey comes to check in. Let's see who he checks in for. Greg Hubbard, no doubt about that foul. I think he just needs to sit down, maybe rest a little bit, try and get a couple of drives to the basket, pick up a steal or something like that, change the complexion of his game around. He just needs a little bit of blow to think about it.
Andrew Gaze, well, he leads the league in a lot of things. One of them is free throw shooting. He's 85% from the line. And does not miss those. 6 points. Melbourne has a big lead. Well, in terms of this quarter anyway, because it's been neck and neck all the way, and we're down to the last seconds. Keogh on Copeland. Time running out for the Kings. Little screen from McLean, draws the double. McClary inside, just gets the shot off short. But Morrissey gets the rebound and can't put it down, but then Big Dean does. Cuts that gap to 4 points. The hopeful shot misses. And an exhilarating first quarter finishes with Melbourne 35, the Sydney Kings 31 at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Melbourne pushing to break into the top 3 and starting to pressure Perth and Southeast Melbourne at the top of the league. Sydney fighting for survival. We'll be back shortly. Second quarter. And we hope it's as good as the first. A few smiles then between the big man Bradkey and Uthoff. They collided heavily in the first quarter. Dean Uthoff was given a foul for it.
35-31 going to the Tigers. That's just too many points to give away for either team.
Well, it's on track for Melbourne because they're a high-scoring team, 106 a game, but it's not good for the Kings, as I pointed out. They can't match this sharp-shooting team shot for shot. They've got to start putting some hard defence. That was Sydney's key last year. Morrissey drives all the way. Timmy Morrissey. He's certainly lifted his game in the last few weeks, Tim Morrissey. He's never short of trying.
Well, that's one way attacking Andrew Gaze. Andrew Gaze is guarding Tim Morrissey because he's not a scorer. The thing is, you make Andrew Gaze play defense, maybe he'll come up short on a couple shots, just like on that one.
And the breakout, McClary virtually on his own. Misses the shot. There was no one near him. It's a turnover. Tim Morrissey was there. He was a long way away. Kenny Mack forced to go by himself and ran into a lot of trouble.
And usually Kenny McClary can handle that one on the break. Dwayne McClain gave it to him. He just had a mishandle, but that was a pretty good option. Just wasn't able to pull it off. That's a terrible thing.
Great inside play, but no traffic, as Steve said. McClain. Utah finds himself alone, so why not? Make the jump shot. Well, Dean doesn't have to jump very far. He's already up there.
Dean Utah's been sticking that shot in practice for the last couple of weeks. He's gotten the okay from Bob Turner to shoot it. Nice move, Mark Bradkey. Couldn't pull out the shot, though.
And Utah would be very pleased to get his hands on that ball. Keogh now. McLean, Morrissey's open, but he goes back to Keogh. McClary just pulls that one in. Well, Keogh's got to shoot the ball, and here he goes. Yes. Well, Damien's field shot percentage has not been great this year, and it's got to affect your confidence, but he put that one down to cut the gap to 0.
One thing that was so good about that exchange was the fact that the Sydney Kings constantly threw the basketball into Ken McClary, and he whipped it back out. Damien Keogh hits a big shot.
Mark Bradkey has actually run out of the courtside area as we see Whitehead driving in and putting it off the glass for 2. That gives Melbourne a 2-point lead, and Tony D'Ambrosio checks in. He thinks Mark Bradkey is making a run to the men's room.
Well, that was a poor closeout by Greg Hubbard, but the reason he had to close out so hard is because Stephen Whitehead shoots the basketball so well from the perimeter. Speaking of perimeter, Sydney Kings 16% from the three-point line, 1 for 6, and the Melbourne Tigers aren't shooting real great either at 37. Inside feed to Tony D.
And misses. Simmons cleans it up. Whitehead looking for options. Under 10 minutes, Gaze pulls it up, and now Simmons, a little bit of hesitation there as Sibley gets the ball. The double team is beaten. Simmons finds Giddy, 2 points. Nice patient stuff from the Tigers, and they lead 41-37.
Well, the Sydney Kings went to the zone, and Warwick Giddy, who was in Damien Keogh's area, made a flash to the basket, and no one picked him up.
McLean now on the point. Jump shot is down. All net.
Well, the Sydney Kings are capable of putting a lot of shots, putting a lot of points on the basket, as Andrew Gaze makes a nice move to the hole. Nice tip, David Simmons.
Yeah, ever watchful Dave Simmons didn't stand back and have a look. He was in there making sure it works. Timeout called by Bob Turner. Melbourne leads 43-39, and we'll go to a break. The Sydney Harlequins, this is the biggest crowd they've had to entertain this year at the Entertainment Centre. Their team is down by 4. But what a smooth, flowing game it has in the last couple of minutes. The referees we've just heard commenting on that.
Well, the thing is, Billy, that they've really called a good game because the guys understand how the referees are calling the game. They made some early calls, and the guys adjusted to the way the referees are calling the game. So you really got to give the credit to the referees for keeping this game under control and letting it flow. And it's so much better when the game is uninterrupted like it's been so far, because the guys have gotten a good flow and a good feel for how the referees are calling the game.
The Tigers all night have been coming back on court first. Let's have a look at the rebounds with Sydney 14-13. Not much there. It's been a great battle underneath. McClary still has not added to his points. He's got 11. Utah has 10 now, though, so he's getting involved, but he's off the court right now. Sydney with the mobility here. McLean driving on 2-3 defenders and gets the ball down. Dwayne McLean taking them on to get into double figures, and Sydney is 41 to Melbourne's 43.
Nice call, a nice no call by Mel Cooper there. When Warwick Giddy tried to just fall because Dwayne McLean bumped into him. Not much foul pressure on that one, and Greg Hubbard gets pinged for the call. The reason I like that non-call so much, Billy, is because it seems as if every time somebody falls, then they call a foul. Tony D'Ambrosio is across the arm on that play, no doubt about that one.
That's his first. Whitehead, Giddy, Sibley, Simmons and Giddy again. Sibley to turn on McLean. Simmons back to the bucket, double teamed and shoots short. Keogh breaks out with the ball, 3-on-1, and the bounce behind the back. Oh, pretty play. I thought it might have been one pass too many for a minute, but nevertheless, Sydney ties it up at 43.
Great execution of a fast break. Stephen Whitehead, he's top.
Oh, that's
beautiful play.
Played it like Patrick Ewing. Well, maybe not quite as good, but they lead by 2, the Tigers.
Well, Stephen Whitehead shooting right down on that shuffle cut, and he runs it like a miniature Andrew Gaze. Tough shot by Dwayne McLean. Looked like he was going to take it. The Sydney Kings trying to run a little bit of motion on their 3-out, 2-in offense.
Morrissey gets 2 points. Sydney with all their guards on court at the moment. And it's 45 all.
I really like how the Kings are moving the basketball. And Tim Morrissey is tough. Nice pass to Andrew Gaze.
Oh, great play. Another substitution, Kenny Mack. Well, he didn't get much of a rest. Timmy Morrissey does. Bob Turner rotating, trying to mix it up. There he is, giving the signals. A vital game for him. The rumours that have been flying around Sydney in the past 7 days have been astonishing.
Well, it's a very attractive program, and a lot of people would like Bob's job, so anytime the Sydney Kings don't do well,
there's always a host of people saying, yeah.
52 for the block.
Well, talk about the Sydney Kings on the fast break. Damian Keogh makes a nice pass up the court, draws the D, kicks it to Dwayne McClain, who would have liked to finish that one with a slam dunk, but made a nice little layup with pressure as Andrew Gaze comes around the other end of the floor.
Oh, Gaze. Well, he's just made 2 plays. The first one got on the end of a lovely pass, and then he's made the steal and breaks away to give Melbourne another 4-point lead. 7 minutes on the clock, and McClary answers with another inside 2, and he's 13 points for the game.
Well, we talk about the poor defense, but these guys are setting some serious screens, and they've got to make some adjustments because you just can't allow Ken McClary to shoot that close to the basket. Can't allow Stephen Whitehead and Nick Gaze to come off that shuffle cut either.
No shot.
Simmons ran into D'Ambrosis. Blocking foul is given, but the points will not count.
Tony D'Ambrosis tries to get David Simmons to slow down a little bit. I know it wasn't his man, but you have to make a little better closeout than that because you know David Simmons really doesn't want to shoot the jump shot. He wants to drive it to the basket.
Sibley, Whitehead on Hubbard again. What's he going to do on the low post? He's done it. No. Well, he got around there. Big outlet from McClary. Morrissey can't quite pull it down. Bob Turner was just calling for a little bit of calm there. Sydney on the transition, just a little too hungry.
And when you work that hard on the defensive end of the floor, you just don't want to go down and make an unforced error. And although he's trying to hit an open Tim Morrissey, that's not the play that they wanted.
Little wraparound. Gaze drives into the center of the key, and the block is called again.
We could see this replay. Tim Morrissey pops Andrew Gaze right in the face. As he comes here, watch Tim Morrissey put his hands up, and Andrew Gaze will come around. See, watch Tim step up. Andrew Gaze will go. And he gets the elbow right on Andrew Gaze, unintentional, of course, with the elbow. That's why Andrew Gaze is grimacing.
Simmons on McClary. That's a tough matchup. Simmons regains control. Not this time. Hubbard. Morrissey goes all the way and misses, but McClary can't tip it in. Morrissey gets it back. Keogh sets for 3. It's short. Well, some heavy clashes, and Kenny McClary was waving his fist in someone's face. Holding foul is called.
Well, that foul's on Stephen Whitehead, I'm sure, because Ken McClary had offensive rebounding position, and when Ken McClary's that close to the basket when a ball's coming up, you can believe he's going to get that offensive rebound. Good foul by Stephen Whitehead.
Under 6 minutes in the half. Melbourne still leads by 2. Hubbard. Keogh. McClain takes on Giddy and misses the shot. And the rebound falls gratuitously for Sibley, and now Gaze.
I'd like to get a replay of this because this is exactly why big men aren't supposed to dribble on the break. He's not a primary ball handler. He's not a primary ball handler for the Tigers.
Well, I wonder if Rob Sibley, well, he got the pass away before he actually ran down the defender. But anyway, it looks like we may not get a chance to see it. Lindsay Gaze calls Stephen Whitehead to the bench. Sydney get the ball from the side. They still trail by 2 points.
Well, in Robert Sibley's defense, he was trying to get it to a guard. He's trying to get it to Andrew Gaze. And then he ran into the Sydney King player for the charge.
Oh, low post, Kenny McClary. Bradkey came in with the block, but the travel was called.
Well, we're talking about that play before of big men not handling the basketball. He wants to get the basketball in. This is where Damian Keogh set already. Jumped in the air, ran into him. That's why you don't want big guys to handle the ball. Give it to us.
Giddy on the ball now. Copeland in the game. Bradkey back to the bucket. Morrissey almost stopped it. Gaze will resume the play. Well, things have tightened up a little in defence in this quarter. Giddy was open but finds Gaze, who's automatically smothered by Morrissey. Now Copeland drives, dispossessed. McClary gives Hubbard a breakout. There's 3-on-2 here. McLean finesses the ball. No dunk. It's 49 all at the Kingdome. Under 5 minutes. And Bradke is looking to give them a lead with a big dunk inside. He doesn't have to go far to get one. And it's 51-49.
I know Mark Bradke scored that basket. It looked like he got fouled on that dunk too, and that's why Lindsey Gaze and the Melbourne bench are up on that play. Although they scored, they thought they should have got another free throw.
Call against Mark Bradke for holding McClary. Now, this is one of a few off-the-ball fouls we've seen, Steve.
Mark Bradke on that one trying to get position because Ken McClary, if he gets too close, he's just like Mark Bradke on the other side. He's going to score a high percentage of points. So Mark Bradke trying to keep him out of that scoring area.
McLean, that beautiful fake and the blocking foul call. Well, when Dwayne McLean takes on the defender one-on-one, he invariably gets points or draws a foul.
Well, this play right here, Dwayne McLean drives to the basket. Warwick Giddy trying to get some position there because he's in trouble. Because Dwayne McLean has that fire in his eye, and he's trying to take the ball strong to the basket every single time. And I can't make too many more comments on how good the referees are calling the game, because that was another excellent call.
Three of our best refs in the game, of course, and the front end missed. Bonus situation for the Kings. They still trail by 2. But Lindsey Gaze has been switching around the defenders on McLean. Giddy is open for 2. Now Gaze with the Bradke with the rebound, I should say. Still gets the ball. Pump fakes and down it goes. He's very, very hard to stop. Melbourne by 4 points inside 4 minutes.
Mark Bradke, that was a very impressive exchange for him. He went after that with some unbelievable intensity, and he's got some big players down there to try and fight for those rebounds. Ken McClary was there the whole time. Mark Bradke is really starting to have the year like everybody expected him to have.
Last week against Hobart, and in fact against Newcastle the week before, as Keogh misses wide, Bradke cleans it up. Melbourne's inside game has been working superbly the last couple of weeks. Oh, the 1-2 didn't come off. Hubbard can't control, but Morrissey will hold it up. Oh, off the leg of Copeland, and Sydney will get a chance to reset the offense.
Tough break for the Sydney Kings, because if Tim Morrissey kicks that one to Damian Keogh, they had a 4-on-2 fast break, and those are just the little things that the Sydney Kings just haven't been able to do throughout the whole year. It's a crucial part of the game. They don't want to let this one get away from them. Nice pass into Ken McClary. He goes where he knows best.
Oh yes, Kenny McClary, he's got a haul of points there this year. 15 for the game right now, 1 ahead of McLean. Bradke at the other end has 18, and this is an inside game. Bradke gets 20 points for the game, and Melbourne again leads by 4. Well, that's where it's being fought right now, right underneath the ring. Not a lot of outside shooting coming into it. McLean inside this time. Banks it. And cuts the gap to 2 points.
There's some talent out there, isn't there, Billy? Dwayne McLean is guarding Mark Bradke down low in that part of the zone. Andrew Gaze for a big...
Oh, the Bradke again.
For the rebound.
Dean Utah gets into the game. Stephen Whitehead will come back in for Melbourne. Tim Morrissey gets a rest.
You talk about a blue-collar game. Mark Bradke is really doing it on both ends of the floor. He's 9 for 13 from the field, 22 points. He's got 4 or 5 from the free throw line. He's doing it.
Warwick Giddy checks out for Melbourne. Needless to say, Lindsey Gaze is going to give Mark Bradke as many minutes as possible in this game. He's winning the battle at the moment. McLean takes the wave, and McClary tips it in. 17 points for Kevin McClary now. Still just 1 ahead of Dwayne McLean. They are a machine. Gaze drives and misses for Bradke. There he is again. Swat from McClary. But somebody got a hand on Bradke, and it's a foul.
Mark Bradke, not only do you have to have a lot of determination, I think they called the wrong foul. They got a foul on the wrong person. Mark Bradke goes up. Let's see who gets it. Dean Utah gets him. And the foul's on Ken McClary. Unfortunate one for Ken McClary.
Well, that's only his second, but gee, the Kings don't want Kenny McClary in foul trouble. Frankie on the line, has shot long. 2-point lead to the Melbourne Tigers, under 2 minutes in this quarter. One player in the game has 3 fouls. That one's gone down. Bradke has 3 fouls and Sibley has 4, so Sydney's fouls spread more evenly, even though it's 10-13, pretty even in the overall count. But a couple of players there getting into a little trouble as Hubbard drives and Copeland steals it. And what's he going to do with this? What else? 60 plays 55. Under a minute and a half. Well, Sydney, again, the high turnover count beginning to affect them. Although turnovers pretty even so far. McClary shoots long. Uthoff's in there and gets it down. Dean Uthoff goes to 12 points, so he's way ahead of his score last week, where he was a little disappointing. Didn't play a lot of minutes, but he shot only 29% against Geelong.
A lot of times you can tell how determined a basketball team is by how many offensive rebounds they get. Ken McClary with a nice defensive play on Dave Simmons. Leonard Copeland after a steal. And this is what Leonard Copeland does. So electrifying with the big leap and the big dunk.
And Hubbard takes it from Bradke. 3-on-1. What can the Kings do? Oh, Hubbard fakes and the jam from McClary. Oh, great play, Greg Hubbard. In that situation, invariably you take it to the bucket yourself. Hubbard faked the pass and then went with it anyway. Copeland, Bradke. And another foul called against the Kings, and this is Dean Utah, and he has a little complaint to make and gets a bit of a warning. 28 seconds left in the game, 3 fouls, little trouble for Big Dean.
And he didn't like that one, but Mark Bradke, along with Dean Utah and Ken McClary, boy, they're having a great game. We're talking about the intensity of these ball clubs. You can usually tell how a team's coming out, if they're determined or not, by how many offensive rebounds they have. The Sydney Kings with 13. And the Melbourne Tigers with 9, but Mark Bradke has 6 of them for the Melbourne Tigers.
Well, they're putting Bradke under a bit of pressure from the line in this game. He's made the second, and so Melbourne goes back out to a 2-point lead. But this is a high-scoring game still, 61-59. Under 30 seconds, so the shot clock is now outside the game clock. And Sydney winding it down. McLean chewing up the seconds. Both teams can be pretty satisfied with this performance in what has been a great first half of basketball. Keogh for 2. It's down! And it's all square at 61. Big shot from Copeland. Oh, he's made it! Oh, what a finish! What a finish to the half! Melbourne with a 3-point lead. Sydney can't believe it. And after such an intense, tight battle, that is a very significant play. Wow. 64-61 at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. We'll be back with you shortly. We're getting ready for what should be an explosive second half of basketball here at the Sydney Entertainment Centre. Let's have a look at the first. And match stats. Sydney 61, Melbourne 64, courtesy of a Leonard Copeland bomb from 200 miles away, Steve.
That's right. They executed their play, got it down to about 4 seconds, hit the shot. Leonard Copeland hits that long one. Very good game of basketball we've got here. 59% to 52 in the shooting percentage. Free throws are dead even. 3-point percentage, the Kings have struggled from there all year. The Melbourne Tigers have picked it up a little bit with 40. Rebounds are just about dead even, and turnovers are pretty close too. We've got ourselves a close game.
McLean is buying into this game in a big way after a little disappointment last week. He and Kenny McClary top score for the Kings. Dean Uthoff has been sharing the workload under the boards there. And Mark Bradkey, well, with 24 points, only 2 less than his game score last week against Hobart. He's averaging 15.9 a game over the season. He's going extremely well and single-handedly taking on the Kings' big men underneath. Coming up on 10 as we count down to the start of this quarter, we've got a great Sunday game. Gold Coast battling for NBL playoff chances against Brisbane Bullets from Carrara, and that should be something special. And Rugby World will review the first test, Australia versus South Africa, which was played earlier tonight, and of course look at Rugby's Night of Nights earlier this week, a historic week of rugby in Australia. And well, the Kings hoping to make a bit of history in 1993, because mathematically they can make the playoffs and they're hoping to do it. Let's have some quarter time scores from elsewhere. South East Melbourne 24, Geelong 20 at Flinders Park. Quarter time, Canberra 44, Newcastle 28 at Canberra. I don't think that's a misprint. Canberra 44 points in a quarter. Have to look at the record books for that one. But right now we've got Damien Keogh on the ball for the Sydney Kings. Uthoff and Keogh the 1-1. Or the 1-2, I should say. Here's McLean driving inside past Sibley and off the boards. 2 points. And now it's 64-63. Melbourne still leading.
That's a good start for the Sydney Kings. The Melbourne Tigers coming out running their offense. Alley-oop to Andrew Gaze. 3 for Leonard Copeland.
Oh, nice tip in. Rob Sibley underneath. Sporting a bit of a moustache.
Is that what that is?
That's what he's calling it. 11 minutes, 20 seconds left in this quarter. Keogh running around to get that pass from Hubbard. McClary wanting to get in there on the low post. He shook off Simmons, bounces for Hubbard, who shoots short. Now Copeland with the rebound. Sydney, no outside game at all at the moment, so it's a wonder they're still in this match. Bradkey travel to the bucket, and that's a break for the Kings after that previous turnover.
These refs right on it. 3 whistles went on that one when Mark Bradkey took that little shuffle step. So the guys are very pleased with how the referees are calling the basketball game. That's why it's so tight and such a good, free-flowing, intense basketball game.
Kenny Mack is mugged by Simmons and Bradkey. Uthoff can't convert the 2 after the double team was drawn, and he still can't get it down. Simmons breaks out. Well, you can't fault Dean Uthoff's performance so far in this game, but that was not on. McLean gets another steal. Takes them on, and the ball is counted, and he was fouled on the way. Leonard Copeland.
That's just a great play. 3-on-2 fast break. Dwayne McLean freezes Leonard Copeland, gets him across the arm, and has the ability and the soft touch to be able to finish that. That one was going down the whole time.
A lot harder than it looked.
Well, he has that ability to make it look so easy. He's so smooth when he goes to the basket, and this is the Dwayne McLean that the rest of the league was used to seeing last year as he converts the 3-point play.
And that ties the game up again, 66 all. Simmons. Gaze shoots for 3. It's down. And that could be a problem for Sydney if they don't start putting down outside shots, because it's a pretty even contest underneath. Mark Bradkey doing a big job. They lead by 3, the Tigers.
If you're a man or zone, you've got to be aware of where Andrew Gaze is on the floor, because uncontested, he hardly ever misses.
McLean misses. Bradkey out to Gaze. They break out. Fast offense. Jump. And turnover. McLean gets around Simmons. And will get the ball back from the side. Well, Dwayne McLean in a fierce mood. He's got 21 points. He's moved into number 1 in the Kings roster for scoring tonight. Bob Turner must be concerned, though, that they are sinking 1 for 8 from 3-point range, the Kings. Melbourne now up to 5 for 12. Hubbard wide out, and this one's down. But it's only for 2. 69-68, and fast breakout from Melbourne. Simmons. Sibley with his knee guard around his ankle. Well, clean dispossession there. 3 times Sydney swatted the ball away cleanly, and now they've got it. McClary lays it in. Well, great defense from the Kings.
Sydney Kings going to get a delay of game warning. Ken McClary held on to that basketball after they got the score. It didn't allow the Melbourne Tigers to get it in a hurry and run their fast break offense.
There's the score, Sydney by 1. They've not led this game very often, but then it's never been anything but close. Simmons on Utop and McLean, and it's rolled all the way over. McClary holds it up. Hubbard. Now he goes back. McClary at the point for a change. Finds Utop with the lay-in, and Sydney gets away to a 3-point lead. Well, it's just like the Kings to lose to a team like Geelong and then come out and play like this against Melbourne.
Well, they're doing everything aggressively. It's amazing how many easy baskets you get if you force the play, put the pressure on the D. They have to have another player come over and help when the player is beat, and that gives them mismatches. Andrew Gay's looking for something.
Keogh looking for help. Hubbard comes on and shares the workload on Gaze. Copeland's open for 3. A big rebound. Stripped, but Sibley gets it back. And again, turnover. Keogh keeps it in. Can McClary get it? He can. And puts it down.
Robert Sibley left the ground, didn't have anywhere to go. Lindsey Gaze does not like what his Melbourne Tigers are doing so far. He's got a big timeout. You can see some adjustments he's going to make, and they want to stop the momentum of this crowd. We'll go right to a break. The Sydney Kings taking the lead from the Melbourne Tigers.
Well, the Sydney Kings, Bob Turner's got the clipboard out. He screwed up something, and oh, that's just the thing he uses to wipe the texture off with. I thought Bob must have screwed up one of his plays there. He had some paper stuck under the clipboard at the top. Bernie Slattery having plenty to say, the assistant coach. Well, it's quite amazing, Steve. Sydney, a different team than they were last week.
Well, that's why they're so dangerous. We're talking to Mark Bradkey earlier on today, and he said that the Sydney Kings are always feared around the league because you know what they're capable of. They have a very talented lineup, and they just haven't been able to put it together. And if anybody knows the feeling of not being able to put it together, it's the Melbourne Tigers, because they started off the season 1-4, and they've steamrolled towards this part of the year. Hopefully they can take that into the playoffs because they're playing some good basketball, but they run into a good Sydney Kings lineup. Today, Dwayne McLean with a big steal.
Well, Copeland called desperately there for the referee to... Oh, Sibley, great play, but it's come off McLean's boot. Sibley almost cleaned me up as he called that ball. McClary inside for 2, and it'll count.
Great interior pass by Damian Keogh, gets it into Ken McClary. And the Sydney Kings, they're looking like the team that everybody predicted them to be.
Well, they've got a mini run on here. Cooper's pulled them up. What's he going to call?
Illegal screen assessed to number 44, Dwayne McLean.
Foul on Dwayne McLean there.
The referee's communicating with the players extremely well. Dwayne McLean told by Coop on that when he wasn't able to do that. Dwayne McLean, not much of an argument. This game is really running smooth.
Well, nearly an intercept from Keogh. The ball doesn't go down for Melbourne. Jump ball, Bradkey and Utop. Well, they pulled that one up pretty quickly because it could have got nasty. There's the turnover count, and unusually, Sydney are well behind on the count this week.
Well, that's right. They're really forcing the issue. They've got a couple of turnovers just from being aggressive. They're not just tentative mistakes, not being sure of their movements. Let's listen to this.
The referees there warning McClary and Simmons about their jostling off the ball. Big jump from Bradkey. Well, I missed that one, Steve.
Well, they were called, Mark Bradkey was called for that one, hitting the basketball on the way up. None of the Tigers like that call.
I must confess, I didn't see it, but a tough call for the Tigers. Little screen from McLean, gets Keogh back out to Hubbard, who drives inside the paint, and now it's with McLean again, the double team. Hubbard, well, Melbourne moving very fluidly on defense, taking Sydney's time away. Hubbard makes it. 3-point play, Greg Hubbard. Well, the percentage isn't too good, but that gives Sydney a 10-point lead, the biggest of the game.
Sydney Kings moved the basketball around. Melbourne Tigers were playing good D. They stayed patient, kept their poise. Hubbard knocks the 3 down.
Simmons short, wrestles McClary, gets the ball back, and off the glass makes it. Melbourne needed that score. They narrow the gap to 8 points, so we've got just over 6 minutes of ball left in this quarter. McLean 1-on-2 and gets it.
The D train.
81-71. What a ball game. Timeout called. Everyone gets a rest, including you. We'll see you shortly. The Melbourne Tigers there. As you see in the background, the Barocca ball bouncing around the Kingdome, one of the popular sideshows here on a game night. And Mark Bradkey, the number 50, walks back. He's done a mighty job for Melbourne. He's got 24 points, only 2 less, but he's not scored this quarter. 2 less than his game haul last week. But significantly, Sydney has held him scoreless in this quarter, and they have a 10-point lead. What a game. The refs are happy with it. The crowd certainly is happy with it, but not this man. He wants to get points on the board for the Tigers. Sibley is wide open, but they sag off him. Bradkey, Leonard Copeland. Mark Bradkey back to the bucket. First points of the quarter. And he's tough from down there, and they need more of it.
Well, he must have heard you, Billy, because he went strong to the basket on that play. Mark Bradkey, when he goes strong, he's got such good foot speed and such a nice touch, and all that strength, that combines for a very good inside player.
McLean on Sibley again. Oh, all the way. 1-on-1. We've said it too many times. Lindsay Gaze, as I said, has tried a few matchups on Dwayne McLean tonight, but he is mean. 25 points, a game high with Kenny McClary. For the Kings, that is.
That's another good call. Damien Keogh just holding Andrew Gaze just a little bit too much.
Well, no one in real foul trouble. Damien goes to 2. Dean Utah has 3, but Keogh gets a rest anyway, and Morrissey's in the game.
And this is what Bob Turner has tried to do to Andrew Gaze. He's tried to keep rotating Damien Keogh and Tim Morrissey on him so that Andrew Gaze doesn't get a feel for how to beat those guys.
Well, Simmons double teamed and shoots short. Hubbard breaks out for the Kings. They've got numbers. Morrissey, nice pass. McClary couldn't get the shot clean and has drawn the foul against David Simmons.
Number 25, Mr. Simmons. That's his 3rd.
David Simmons on that one. There wasn't really much he could do. Tim Morrissey with a nice little shovel pass to Ken McClary, and there's the foul on Dave Simmons over the back of Ken McClary. He's going to the free throw line, and he misses the first.
Well, Bob Turner's still got to like this Kings team tonight a lot, because the third quarter, I mean, it's still not over yet, but it's always been a problem for them this year. They're trying desperately to not let that happen tonight, although missing those 2 free throws is not a good thing. 64% from the line tonight to Melbourne 73. Gaze just being frustrated a little here tonight. He's got 11 points. That's not much for him. Mind you, Bradkey has taken a hand in the way this game's being played. It's very much an inside game tonight for Melbourne. Simmons bumps off McClary. Good play. Copeland is open. Copeland gets inside. Yes, most of his points have come from wider out tonight. He goes to 18. He shot 4 for 9 from 3-point range. Inside, he's got 7 for 13.
Good defensive play. Good defensive exchange for the Sydney Kings. But a good player just cannot be stopped sometimes.
McLean drives on Sibley, gets it up, but bang. Utah, good rebound, but he's stripped. Plenty of defense in there. Utah was just outnumbered. Melbourne ball. Stephen Whitehead is about to get into the game. Very quick substitution from Lindsay Gaze. Robert Sibley takes a rest. He's managed to stay on 4 fouls after getting into a little trouble early.
This lineup is the lineup where the Melbourne Tigers are very explosive in their scoring at every position, with Stephen Whitehead coming in for Robert Sibley.
Well, this time Sydney forces another turnover. McLean calls up the troops with him, and a bad pass to Hubbard. And that's gone to Whitehead. That ball was at his feet. Simmons, Gaze, Morrissey was in there, and the charge is called. Well, that'll be an interesting one to see. Morrissey winds up on the floor.
Tim Morrissey anticipated that one extremely well. Stepped in the path of Andrew Gaze. Lindsey Gaze doesn't like that call, but it just seems to be going the Sydney Kings way at the moment. Here's where the nice shovel pass is. Tim Morrissey gets that leg down. That's always an extremely tough call to make.
You're not wrong. Andrew didn't like it for sure, but he just got the foot down before Andrew got to him. That's Morrissey with the ball right now on Copeland. Tim Morrissey, one of those players who's been out of form but has tried so hard and is finding it again. McLean, oh, Morrissey inside, and it's a shot, but Utah's in there again, can't bank it. Well, that's two offenses. Utah's got the rebound but not made the points, and he knows it. Bradkey, oh, this is the dunk. Can you believe it? Sydney outnumber Melbourne on this one, and McLean brings the house down. Now they've got to get back on defense. Whitehead, Copeland, 10-point lead to the Kings. Almost a steal. In fact, Copeland recovers beautifully. Gaze hassled by Morrissey, and McLean finds Bradkey, who puts it down.
Wow, is this thing going to stop?
No.
Stop action.
8-point lead to the Kings now, inside 3 minutes. And this has to be the game of the season, certainly at the Kingdome, and possibly anywhere. McLean finds Ken McClary, and the turnover is called. Ref's rule that came off the chief, and so a vital turnover. Timeout's being called for here by the Sydney bench, but they haven't got it. Whitehead for three, big play. Well, this is going to be very interesting.
That's why they're so dangerous with Stephen Whitehead in. He just can't leave the perimeter open. That allows the inside open, and so they can score from every angle.
Let's stay with the action. Sydney leads by only 5. So a big rush here by the Tigers. Let's have a look.
Well, this was a great exchange. Mark Bradkey misses the dunk on the other side. Ken McClary draws the D, gets it to Dwayne McLean. A big 4-point turnaround for the Sydney Kings.
However, after that play, Melbourne came back strongly and have now cut the gap to 5. Steve Whitehead, as Steve pointed out, gives them that outside option.
Let's have a look at the Melbourne Tigers. Lindsey is talking to his crew right there. They got a really big shot out of Stephen Whitehead, put him back into the basketball game. And as we talked about, that lineup, when they're so explosive offensively, Lindsey has the luxury of popping in Stephen Whitehead to do some damage.
This is the shot that turned around a Sydney break. Steve Whitehead open sets. He played a big part against Hobart last Sunday on Sunday Basketball, and that one was almost all net.
Well, you couldn't see it on the screen, but on the other side of their offense is Andrew Gaze, so you really can't shade towards Stephen Whitehead's side because Andrew Gaze will give you the different result. I mean, the same result, but just with a different number.
Amazingly, Gaze is still on 11 points for this game, but Melbourne right in it. And you always get the feeling that Andrew is going to, at one stage, make up his usual numbers. He's yet to do that. McLean inside McClary, and this time Simmons too good. Gaze breaks out. Copeland. Melbourne dangerous. McLean gets the breakout, but Copeland converts. Not enough Sydney bodies there to make use of that intercept. Keogh. Hubbard on the ball for Sydney. Now Keogh. Melbourne, incidentally, has brought up a little body of supporters who are camped in the middle of the Kings bleachers. Oh, reject from Simmons, but it's not going to be there. It's a ball down to make Sydney 87, Melbourne 82.
Number 33.
We get the feeling that Andrew Gaze is just going to light it up. So many times people have claimed to slowed him down throughout the course of the game, and it just seems like he just waits for his opportunity. His teammates have been putting the ball in the basket. Mark Bradkey, Stephen Whitehead, David Simmons, they've been doing a lot of scoring. Andrew Gaze hasn't had to do it yet, but believe me, he'll come around.
Sydney, fast transition. Hubbard, McClary, and touches it down. He needed that. Sydney go out to another 7-point lead, and we're getting down towards a minute in this quarter. Gaze almost loses it. Copeland drives inside and gets it down. He's getting into this game now. 22 points.
A lot of people have been critical of his play too, like a lot of other players out on the floor. Dwayne McLean with a nice drive. Good D by the Melbourne Tigers.
Well, they are getting back in numbers, Melbourne, and every time a Sydney player gets the ball, he's triple teamed. Gaze, well, he couldn't bank it, but Simmons gets that lucky rebound, and there's plenty of bodies there for Melbourne to convert the points. McClary and McLean were way out of that play, outside the perimeter. So Melbourne have cut Sydney down to a 3-point lead. At one stage in this quarter, they're up by 10. Utah getting ready to check in, and Sydney just losing their momentum. Well, McClary is running into a wall in there. Simmons, the ball will count this time, and he'll get a chance for 3, but he's been caught in the eye in the process. Kenny McClary, 31 points. We haven't even got to the final quarter yet.
Well, that was good D by David Simmons. You can see here Ken McClary starts to turn to the inside. Then when he starts to move, he gets the ball stuck right on David Simmons' torso. Ken McClary, too strong, brings it around, goes up for the shot. I'm not quite sure where the foul occurred, but nobody seemed to argue much.
And Kenny seemed to be holding his eye. He's missed that free throw. Sydney leads 91-86, and Melbourne has a look at the clock, Gaze. Certainly the game clock inside the shot clock. Perimeter passing, Sibley.
Well, again, they want to shoot it with about 4 seconds, so if they miss, they have a chance at the second shot on the rebound.
Oh, he faked him out beautifully, Copeland. The shot was wide, but Simmons gets inside. Can't make it. Utah. Hubbard now with the hopeful. The buzzer beat him. And so did the ring. 3-quarter time at the Sydney Entertainment Centre, and this game is still at a hectic pace. 91-86. We'll go to a break. Welcome back to one of the games of the season, and don't they know it? The Tigers bench, Bradke has a little rest. He's had a marvellous game. A little quiet in that third quarter, but then Leonard Copeland brought into the game to cut a 10-point Kings lead down to only 5, and that's how they sit 91-86 at the start of the final quarter. High-scoring game won't suit Sydney, though. Here we go with a couple of scores from around Australia. Southeast Melbourne lead Geelong at half-time 48-37, and at quarter-time in Adelaide, the 36ers, a vital game for them, lead 30-27 over North Melbourne. Very important match, that one. North Melbourne had a loss too, so they really need that as well. Right now, talking about vital games, well, the Tigers want to get into the top 3. They want to pressure Perth and the Magic. Sydney, well, they want to stay alive. Andrew Gaze, what's he going to do? Drives on 2 Kings, misses the shot. Utah almost missed the rebound. Hubbard, breakout, Morrissey's free. Copeland gets back magically and fouls Morrissey on the way to the bucket.
That's a good foul by Leonard Copeland. Tim Morrissey goes up really strong on that play. That's Leonard's 4th foul. Hopefully he won't get in foul trouble because he's just really starting to light it up. Bob Turner has a quick chat with Dwayne McLean. As Tim Morrissey goes to line and shoot 2.
And Dwayne races in, gives Tim Morrissey a little pat on the back of encouragement. Sydney must sink their free throws. This is not going to be an easy game. And he shoots short again. Well, 3-point shooting and free throws can hurt Sydney if this is close. Whitehead, and that's down, 2 points. And this is where Melbourne, in a high-scoring game, are simply going to outgun the Kings in the stretch. Sydney's got to come up with the open shots, as Greg Hubbard does right there. That is what they've got to do. 94-88. Sydney still leads this game. Melbourne had the lead for most of the first half, even though it was close, and now it's swung just a little bit the other way, but still much too close to call. Simmons drives all the way. Basket is good, and Tim Morrissey is it.
Tim Morrissey gets that foul. Dave Simmons went strong to the basket. Be good to get it on replay, hopefully.
His 3rd. Mr. Simmons
has a bit of a query about that call. David Simmons to the line.
Well, if it was a foul, it was a soft one, because Dave really didn't have much trouble getting to the bucket. Hubbard missed the free throw anyway. 94-90. Hubbard gets around Gaze. Little jumper off the glass. It's not there. falls into McLean's hands. Luckily, he's triple teamed and Morrissey puts the 2 points down. Well, Dwayne McLean has drawn a lot of attention in this game. He either takes it there or finds the open man. Whitehead's missed that long. And Utah's got the rebound now. What's happened here? Gaze is on the floor and they've pushed. Well, they've called a very unpopular foul against Morrissey again. That'll be it.
We'll see this one. Andrew Gaze on that one right there. This is where it gives him a little shove. And Andrew falls. Maybe a little bit of acting by Andrew Gaze, but Tim Morrissey definitely had his forearm on Andrew as he fell. That's
restart.
a big play because the Sydney Kings had numbers on the fast break. And that real nice hands by Dean Utah.
Oh, and Copeland turns it over. Done! Well, that's heartbreaking to make a steal and then have it turned over again. And Utah just stands at the other end of the court and looks forlorn.
Well, that's all right, Bill. It's aggressive play. Dean goes out there and makes a great play. And then Leonard Copeland makes a great play, too. This is just good basketball. Nobody's giving it away. These teams are taking it.
Hubbard misses the shot. Utah can't get the board, and so Sydney's 4-point lead may be eroded again. Gaze drives on the double team. Whitehead, he's so dangerous. But they cut down his time to shoot that time. This time Copeland at the other wing. And he misses inside. But Whitehead gets the board, and almost a steal. Whitehead will hold it up a little bit and just take the pressure off. Drives. Simmons inside is stripped.
Well, the Sydney Kings have 17 offensive rebounds and the Melbourne Tigers have 16. That is just extra shot attempts you go up there, and that's why this game with Leonard Copeland's 3 and counting
rattles the metal, and now Sydney leads by just 1 point. Utah gets a rest. Morrissey's going to restart with Hubbard, and what a game.
So important to only limit a team down to 1 shot every time they come down the floor. And neither team has been able to do that with the other one tonight.
Keogh finds McClary. He is just belted inside. I didn't mean that in a nasty way. He was just smothered by the defense. Looked like a pinball in between Sibley and the other big fellas. And now Sydney will get it back from the side, trying to hang on to this lead. But Melbourne, with so much scoring power, are making it very, very difficult for them. And I'll tell you what, they're not defending too badly either. Sydney. And it's interesting, Steve, to note that the options in offense are not as many as there were early in this game, as McClary gets inside, draws the foul, and looks for a 3-point play. Right now, Sydney leads by 98-95. While they're waiting for that free throw, I'll give you a halftime score. Canberra 68, Newcastle 55 at Canberra.
Nice interior pass, nice catch by Ken McClary. Spins inside. Leonard Copeland gets him on the left arm. And Ken McClary tries to make it a 3-point play, and he can't do it.
Well, Sydney's foul shooting letting them down. They've dropped to 50%. And like I said, against Melbourne, they need to get the bonus points. Whitehead. Gaze drives in, and all the way, Andrew Gaze. That is his first 2 points for so long. He was on 11, and Copeland has just fouled. Gaze, he's out of the game.
That is just unlucky.
Well, Leonard Copeland could not do a thing about that. Not even the most rabid Kings supporter surely would say that
that is so unlucky. If this is anywhere else on the basketball floor, Leonard Copeland's still in the basketball game, but Damian Keogh was knocked out of bounds. Something has got to be called.
That's true. I mean, you can't blame the refs for making the call, but Leonard, his momentum just carried him into Damian Keogh on this line. It's just one of those unfortunate things. But the fact is, he's fouled out of the game after surging in to 27 points in the third quarter and really turning the game around for Melbourne. Hubbard puts down 2 points to rub it in, and Sydney now has a 3-point lead. Well, now will Andrew Gaze stand up and start a charge, because there's a bit of a hole now in Melbourne's offense. Here's Gaze. Well, what did I say?
You can only hold him for so long. Andrew Gaze answering the challenge, knowing Leonard Copeland was hot and has to fill the shoes. Ken McClary, nice tip by Dean Utah, couldn't quite get there.
Oh, determination from the Kings and Bradkey, and McClary! Oh, well, just sums up this game. Both teams fighting for the basketball. Bradley almost had the steal in a fast break, but Sydney got it back. They lead by 3 points. We're inside 8 minutes. A lot of game left. And I don't know whether any of us can keep up with the pace. Bradley inside finesses the ball to make it 2 points and cut Sydney's lead to 1.
The Sydney Kings playing their best game of the year, and the Tigers are still right there with them.
Well, that's an interesting call. McLean didn't quite have control of the ball.
It's on Robert Sibley.
It's a 1-1 first. Melbourne are now in the bonus. Now that's a long way out from full time to be in the bonus situation. Let's have a look.
Ken McClary turns to the inside, gives it to Dwayne McLean. Robert Sibley had a lot of basketball.
And he's on 5 fouls. Trouble for the Tigers. Well, and with 7 minutes 41 seconds, McLean on the line. And that's the first free throw Sydney have had for a while. And they've got to make them because they have the advantage now of being in the bonus. And if they can sink free throws, they can put a lot of pressure on Melbourne.
And there are a lot of Melbourne Tigers in foul trouble. Ken McClary was in too quick on that play. That's why the referee blew the whistle. Lane violation by Kenny McClary. Even if, and that's the explanation from the referee on the lane violation.
There it is, 5-2. So Sydney with a bit of leeway there. Bradley, it's such a tough game. They're likely to get into the bonus. Misses the shot. Oh, you tough. Hubbard cleans it up. Keogh. Oh, there's a Melbourne hand on that, I think. Bradley can't touch it in. He whacks. McLean gets it down. Well, I thought Bradley got a whack in the back there. And so did Lindsay Gaze. Nevertheless, Sydney now leads by 4 points. Oh, Keogh is on fire. He threw himself into the bench last week, and then he almost threw himself into the sponsors' boxes. Steal from Dwayne McLean. Let's see it. Oh, yes. Oh, boy, what a game. 107 to 101. Here he is on the way to the bucket.
Lots of time left, but lots of time left for the Melbourne Tigers. Andrew Gaze. Damien doesn't like that call.
Well, this game, after a hot start, is hotting up again, temper-wise. Keogh is on 4 fouls now.
Damien saying that he felt like he was pushed first.
Well, Andrew Gaze, Lindsay Gaze there, wondering if his son is going to make a rush of points and keep Melbourne going.
2 shots.
They're only down by 6. Andrew Gaze.
This game is a long way from over, especially the explosiveness of those 3-point shooters that they have out there, and that inside-outside game they can get with Mark Bradkey going. You can't favor one or the other.
Well, how could you bet against a team with Gaze, Copeland and Whitehead on perimeter? You cannot guard them all. 107 to 103, Gaze on Hubbard, the concentration etched on their faces. Hubbard faked the pass. Time clock running down on the Kings. McClary in a familiar position. No basket. They called the foul well before the shot was made. Kenny McClary, luckily for Melbourne, is on the line for a 1-and-1.
That's right. He made that call right away, too. Ken McClary was being held down low. He had very good position. Ken McClary, he's got to make these free throws. These free throws are so important now.
Well, they are, and Sydney can't get them. Well, they can get the ball back from the side, even though it looked like Dean Uthoff was the one who fumbled it over the baseline. But, of course, a lot of hands in there trying to get on that ball. McLean restarts for Hubbard, who drives it back outside the perimeter. Here's McClary, low post. Oh, he gets it in. He gets it in. There was a big Tiger hand on that, but it still went. 109 to 103, and the fast break comes up for Melbourne. Trying to turn the Kings inside out on the transition. Gaze, jump shot for 3. It's long. McClary breaks out. Needs some patience here from Sydney. They've got 3 on 2. Hubbard, pull-up jumper faked, and it's knocked down. Well, the referee's delaying this one, or have they called it a Sydney ball? They have. I didn't see the call.
Have done a very good job in keeping the basketball away from Andrew Gaze. He was frustrated on that last three-point shot.
Well, Bradke muscling around with Utah there off the ball. Here's McLean one-on-one, and it's good. Steve Whitehead couldn't do a lot about that one, and Sydney now has an 8-point lead, getting down to 5.5 minutes. And let's see what ammunition Melbourne's left. Whitehead faked the three and drives inside Bradke, simple two. Took out the defense and left Bradke with the easy shot. 111 to 105. Very high-scoring game with 5 minutes left. McLean stripped, but he'll go to the line.
Nice pass by Greg Hubbard. Dwayne McLean catches it. Goes up strong, but Mark Bradke across the arm.
Mark Bradke on 4 fouls and also carrying his right foot. We'll try and keep an eye on him for you. There's a lot of other things happening, of course, but it looks like he's just favouring it. McLean caresses the ball all net.
Close matches. You're going to have a close game when you play a team of this caliber, the Melbourne Tigers, and you have got to make your free throws down the stretch.
And both of them do not touch the medal. 113 to Sydney, 105 to Melbourne, and the foul bonus is hurting the Tigers right now. Gaze fakes out Keogh. He had a foot on the line, but Sydney's got it anyway. Whitehead, look at the options Melbourne's got. These guys can all shoot, but if they haven't got the ball, they can't put it down. Oh, the 1-2 attempted, but Simmons got in there to foil the fast break. McLean can afford to smile, but Sydney would certainly like to make those points count because they also help to demoralise the opposition. This time Melbourne's going to have a chance to get back. Oh, that pass, the 1-2 with Utah. McLean takes on Whitehead, one-on-one again, and it's knocked down. Utah gets the rebound, fakes them out and gets it. 10-point lead to the Kings. Gaze. This game is an overdrive. Sibley around perimeter. Whitehead again goes inside after faking the three, and it bounces out. Gaze is muscled out of it. Nowhere to go, and the travel called against him. Well, he was begging for the contact, and instead it's a Sydney ball.
The referees called the advantage on that play because he was fouled on the rebound, but they let it play because he probably had a layup, but he traveled when he tried to get the reverse layup up.
Well, I haven't seen Andrew Gaze held to just 17 points for a while. Here's McClary, and he misses it. Utah can't tip it in. That could be a big play, but he gets it back.
Look at that second effort. Now the Melbourne Tigers show that same determination. Andrew Gaze.
Hubbard fouls him. Well, good foul from Hubbard in the sense that he went for the ball. Certainly was not clearly intentional. Only 2 fouls against his name. Gaze is on the line.
Greg Hubbard with a good foul. Knocks the basketball. Actually, he took Andrew Gaze's arms away, so he didn't have anything to shoot with. That's a good foul. On those plays, you just do not want an intentional foul because they get Andrew Gaze at the line is like 2 points, and then they get another possession. And Whitehead down into Bradke.
They double team him, and the intercept from McLean. Well, what's he got? Oh, McLaren! Well, it won't count, I don't think. They called the play. They blew the whistle. No ball, no basket.
Dwayne McLean's fouled on the drive. Stephen Whitehead didn't like the call. Dwayne McLean goes up. Ooh, he is just very unfortunate to get called for that. Not much contact at all. And we talked about the referees calling a good game. Well, they just missed one.
Well, for the sake of entertainment and everything, that would have been better to let it go. But still, it could be important for Melbourne. And it is, because it's now, at best, a 1-point play.
Oh, that's right. I mean, that foul didn't go Stephen Whitehead's way. He's mature about it. He understands that if it did go on, then the Sydney Kings would have gotten a dunk, and now they've only got 1 point out of it, and they would have had 2.
But it is an 11-point lead, and we're under 4 minutes. Melbourne under pressure. for the first time in a lot of weeks. Whitehead, oh, it was almost a huge play, but Gaze gets the rebound. He's stripped. McClary fights for the ball with Simmons. They're on the ground, and well, here's trouble. The jump ball is called. I'm sure Dave Simmons did not mean to throw that ball at Mel Cooper. That's where it went, but now Dave's hurt his foot too in that exchange. McClary fell on him, nothing intentional, but that's a lot of weight on your leg. Now Simmons is going to come back for the jump shot, but let's have a look now.
Greg Hubbard with a nice strip. That ball's bouncing around like a ping pong. This is where the exchange goes. David Simmons wasn't too happy.
Was David Simmons trying to get back ready for this jump ball, testing the weight on his foot. Obviously he's going to jump off the other one. What a big play this will be. Simmons is still wanting some time. The ref's asking him. Well, Mel Cooper's asking the question, do you want to sit out? Get on with the game, but he's going to go for it. And McClary wins it, but he tips it over the baseline. Well, what next? Morrissey tried to run it down. Sydney 11-point lead, but Melbourne with the ball. And they really want to score on this one. Bradkey double teamed again by the Kings, but Whitehead's open for three. No, it's Sidley for two, and that nearly banked in. Simmons now, inside play. Keogh tries to wrestle it. Sidley gets the bank shot. Well, foul call against David Simmons. Now that puts him on 5 fouls, so boy, are Melbourne in trouble. Sidley and Simmons on 5, and that just indicates how Sydney have successfully played the battle of the boards tonight. They've got the two big men in foul trouble. Bradkey has been a little quieter in this half, and Copeland, well, he's out of the game. That's not a result of the rebounding contest so much. The one-on-one missed, and that's costly for Sydney. So many factors still to play in this game, Steve, as we approach the 3-minute mark.
Well, you give a team that many looks, that many opportunities to get you, the Melbourne Tigers will definitely put the sting on you. They've got, like we talked about, so many scoring weapons, and here's one of them, Stephen Whitehead with a bad pass.
Oh, unbelievable turnovers from the Tigers. Hubbard gets McClary in, and it's missed. Well, Sydney giving Melbourne every chance to win this game. Simmons dumps it. Open basket. And Sydney trying to punish them on the fast break, but the numbers aren't there. Keogh had the big outlet pass. McLean evades the double team. Well, it's down to an 8-point game again.
Good D, Stephen Whitehead.
9 points, I should say. Hubbard for 3. It's not there. And Simmons gets the rebound after McClary couldn't swat it away. Keogh intercepts and can't control it. Oh, and that's frustrating. Damien Keogh, he's come up with some big plays off the ball tonight. Timeout called by Bob Turner. The Kings just looking a little bit out of control. And we'll go to a break with the Kings still leading 116 to 107. Desperation of both teams symbolised in that play. Sydney got the 2 points. They had a 9-point lead. The Mexican wave ripples around the full house in the Kingdome, and there they are. A loss tonight. Well, we said goodbye to them last week. We said they couldn't make the playoffs, but they are certainly entertaining their fans tonight, and who knows?
Well, the Sydney Kings win this basketball game. I don't think anybody around the league would be too surprised because they are capable of beating anybody and beating anybody well in this league.
Speaking of capabilities, Sydney have now just put themselves into the bonus situation. So Andrew Gaze gets a 1-and-1, and when you look at free throws, they are well and truly clear of Sydney in that department, Steve. So now we've got a very, very interesting situation.
Well, that's right. I know Tim Morrissey wants to play Andrew Gaze intense, but now you do not want to put the Melbourne Tigers on the free throw line, especially Andrew Gaze, because they don't have to earn it. Andrew Gaze is an 85% free throw shooter, and he goes up there with a 1-and-1. And he knocks that down. Surprise, surprise. And he's got another one. And those are free points. And then you don't want to have to come down here, work hard, try and score, and then give them free throws at the other end.
Andrew Gaze makes the 2. So, Sydney 116, Melbourne 109. Now, will the Kings get the stumbles and throw away what has been an extremely courageous performance tonight? Or will they go on with it by finding the open man as they did then with Big Dean Utah? Gaze, look at this, takes the game under his wing, can't get the score at Utah. Well, Dave Simmons was in there, no basket. Foul goes against Utah by the look of it. Dave Simmons sent to the line. No, the foul against Ken McClary.
Andrew Gaze goes to the basket, couldn't finish on that exchange. Dave Simmons strips Dean Utah, and Ken McClary gets Dave Simmons on the right arm. He goes to the line.
And makes him.
Now, this is the difference. These guys shoot the ball extremely well from the free throw line. The Sydney Kings struggle a bit.
Oh, he missed it. McClary gets it.
Now it's important for the Sydney Kings to stay aggressive on the offensive end of the floor, because 8 points is just 4 shots and maybe just 3.
Do you know Dwayne McLean has got 37 points in this game, and so has Kenny McClary. Oh, Dwayne McLean just a little overconfident on that play, and this is what could turn it around for the Tigers. A big turnover. Now, we're inside 1.5 minutes, and Melbourne are the sort of team that will not make the mistake. Gaze has put it down for 2, and he's drawn the foul. So, potential 3-point play, and yes, the Kings have got the stumbles. Bob Turner's asked for a timeout, and why not?
Nice pass into Whitehead. Andrew Gaze cuts through the lane. Not much of a foul on that play, but Andrew Gaze really hasn't gotten many breaks on the call, so, you know, they even out. Andrew Gaze goes to the free throw line, and like we said before, that's pretty much money in the bank.
Versus the Hobart Rebels, and the playing, of course, versus Hobart from 6 p.m. 500 basketballs will be given away by American Express and a holiday to the Gold Coast. There are tickets available tonight here at the Entertainment Centre.
Lindsay Gaze talking to the Tigers, and 1 minute 18 left. They've got heaps of time to plot the downfall of the Sydney Kings. There's only 6 points in this game, almost certainly 5 after Andrew Gaze goes to the free throw line. Well, it's going to finish where it started. Very close.
Yeah, extremely close. The Sydney Kings have got to look at the clock and say that the Melbourne Tigers have at least 3 possessions. So you can't go down and you can't stall. And the Sydney Kings want to have the ball moving around. Keep the ball moving, because they don't want to be easy targets to foul, because let's face it, they just haven't shot the ball well from the free throw line, and they don't want to go up there with that kind of pressure.
So, here we go. The winning post in sight, and the whips are out. Lindsay Gaze has to have a drink. Haven't we all had a few of those tonight? Water, of course. And on the line, Andrew Gaze. He's just bought into this game a little bit in the last couple of minutes. He hasn't missed one from here tonight. And he will remain clean. Well, Hubbard, full court pressure from Melbourne. 5 points in the game. Sydney would have to score from this. McLean is double teamed. Hubbard goes through the open space. Well, they're running down the clock on this play. Hubbard trying to shake off Whitehead and call the shots. That's McClary, fakes out Bradkey, and a good foul from Bradkey, because now Kenny McClary's going to face the pressure back out on that line and not on the low post where he likes to be.
Good job from Greg Hubbard, not only making that good pass into Ken McClary, but withstanding the pressure, still keeping his dribble alive, keeping his poise, and knowing where he wanted to hit his target. And Ken McClary on the inside. Now the free throws, like we're talking about before, they're really important. Ken McClary unsuccessful with the first one. He's got another one.
Enormous pressure here. 3 for 10. He makes this one. Well, I guess you got to make him sometime. And Sydney still lead by 6 inside a minute. Simmons. Gaze, what can he do? The screen from Simmons. 3 points. It's long by a mile. Utah, they've got to chew up time, the Kings. Hubbard. He's very patient on the last offense. He draws the foul from Gaze. Well, Greg Hubbard is a good free throw shooter, so being in the 1-and-1, he's going to be a lot more comfortable than Kenny McClary.
Well, there's not nearly as much pressure when you shoot the basketball with a 6-point lead as you do when it's a 1-point game. And that's what the Sydney Kings did not want to do, get the game in a situation where it was do or die every time they took a shot or went to the free throw line.
I can't believe Greg Hubbard let the pressure get to him. Gaze on the breakout. Whitehead goes for the three. Oh, it's not there. Utah gets the rebound, and it's a Sydney ball. Well,
that three was right on target. If that one dropped, the Melbourne Tigers were only down by 3, and it would have been a completely different ball game, but that's how the game goes.
Three on the hole.
Holding foul called against Steve Whitehead.
Three. No, Washington on the hole. 1-1.
1-1 again. This time it's Dwayne McLean on the free throw line. Well, if Hubbard can miss the front end, anyone can. Bob Turner having a little word to say to Dean Utah, who's out of picture. Now he's in picture. And Turner plots the last 30 seconds of this game. And McLean hopes to take Sydney a little further away. No, he can't. I thought that one was going to drop. Well, fortune favours the Kings. They can't buy a free throw, but they've got the ball from the side, and there's another second shooter. Lindsay Gaze calls a timeout this time. He's got to do some plotting. Well, I'll tell you what, the Kingdome here, you can see the whole crowd, about 10,000 people leaning out of their seats every time the free throw arcs towards the metal and then bounces away.
You know, it's been a funny year, Billy. The crowd, I'm not quite sure they know if they should get up and cheer or just wait and make sure that the Sydney Kings are going to win the basketball game. It's been that kind of year.
Well, I don't know if you can pick it up, but there's tremendous noise around the Kingdome. There's the crowd. Lindsay Gaze hoping to drag this one away from Sydney in the last 29 seconds. Top scorers for the Kings, McClary 38, McLean 37. Dwayne McLean, well, forget about last week. He's in there tonight. Gaze has grinded into the game. 22, Copeland 27, he's out of it. Simmons 13, he's played a big part underneath though. And Bradke, 34 points. Big game. How do you choose an MVP from that lot?
Well, I think it's one of those take your picks. I mean, they've had so many players play well for both squads.
Wait up, guys. Got a problem on the bench. You right? Okay.
Scoring bench held up play for a second. Sydney now trying to hold up play in this game. Keogh. Long pass to Hubbard. They're not going to take cheap shots. Keogh, time chewing down. Hubbard. Utah. McLean. Oh, takes it back out cheekily. Foul. Well, here's an interesting call.
Number 33, Stephen Whitehead.
Well, that one's on Stephen Whitehead. The only question was that intentional? Was it an intentional foul? And I don't like to see that call too much unless somebody really goes out there and really mugs someone, because I think it just completely changes the complexion of the basketball game. Sydney Kings can't put another free throw down.
Unbelievable. But the time is running out for Melbourne. Whitehead for three. Oh, it's in and out, and I believe it. Utah has chewed up the time, and the Kings have pulled off their biggest win of the season. Bob Turner and Lindsay Gaze come together. All the coaches come together after what has been one of the monumental games of 1993. Sydney, you have to say, if they can keep playing like that, are still alive in this championship.
Well, that's right. The Sydney Kings do play well against good teams, but the thing is, those good teams have been coming out against the Sydney Kings and playing some great performances. Sometimes their best performance throughout the whole year. The Sydney Kings withstood a really tough challenge by the Melbourne Tigers tonight.
And they are enjoying the atmosphere, a standing ovation at the Kingdome, and we will come back to wrap up this match shortly. Welcome back. Well, nobody wants to leave the Sydney Entertainment Centre. One of the games of the year by far. An incredible performance from Sydney to stay alive in the NBL Championship if they can keep producing basketball like that. And the MVP tonight, Dwayne McLean, sensational.
Thank you very much.
How did you get into that game? It was just a tip-top performance, intensity with a capital I from the first second.
Yeah, it was. We more or less approached it as a playoff game. The intensity was high. The superstars came out to play tonight. It was a great atmosphere. We just, put out a tough game at home.
I think sorry, Bill. I think there are a couple of things that are really important tonight. You really shut down Andrew Gaze, and the Sydney Kings seem to get every loose ball.
Yeah, we went to a boxing one defense on Drew. 4 guys playing zone with 1 guy shadowing him, and that kind of held him down a little bit. He's a great player, and he demands that respect.
I know after last week, the loss to Geelong that wasn't expected, everyone was saying that was the end of the Kings for 1993. Obviously, you guys did not agree.
No, we don't believe that. We definitely don't believe that. We still have a lot of basketball to play and want to take it game from game.
Are you a little concerned about Hobart coming in? The Sydney Kings do have a reputation for taking teams lightly. I know the situation doesn't call for that, but Melbourne is definitely the team that you feel like is going to be a tough one, but the Hobart Devils, well...
Exactly. They're struggling down there, and you can't take them lightly. We had a nail-biter down there that we won by 1 point, so we're expecting a tough game. But, if we come out and play our game, I don't think there's anyone in the league who can beat us.
Dwayne, personally, you played a lot of one-on-one tonight. You really took them on. When you got double and sometimes triple teamed, you found the open man. It was a really aggressive game from you tonight.
Well, yeah, all week I've been working on my one-on-one skills with Johnny Blake, Greg Hubbard, and Tim Morrissey, and it's just more or less sharpening my game, and it showed tonight.
And it must have been pleasing to see that some of the guys, everyone knows they have struggled with form, some of the guys this year, but they've been building up slowly, and tonight everyone...
Yeah, we had a total team effort. McClay was there as usual, like he's been all season. Dino played a hell of a game. Damien and Greg shot the ball great. And if we can get that type of team support, we'll be tough.
So now we're going to take it a step at a time all the way to the playoffs, eh?
That's what we're looking for. I still don't want to go home until November.
Good on you, Dwayne. Thanks for your time and congratulations. Big performance, Dwayne McLean. And you can probably hear the reception he's got from the fans who are still hanging around the Kingdome. They're going to soak this up for a while yet. Right now, let's have a look at the stats for tonight. What a game.
Great game, I mean, for both teams. Although the Melbourne Tigers came out on the losing end, great match. Shooting percentage, 54% to the Sydney Kings, 51. Good shooting. Free throws, man, that almost cost the Sydney Kings down the stretch. The Melbourne Tigers were able to hit a couple of those threes. 33%